There was so much Apple had to cram into its WWDC 2024 keynote that some features were left out of the spotlight. Here at the company's campus, I've had the chance to speak with various executives, as well as get deeper dives in iOS 18, iPadOS 18, Apple Intelligence, watchOS 11, and more. In these sessions, I've been able to learn more about how specific things work, like what steps exactly do you take to customize your iPhone's home screen and control center. I also got to see some other updates that weren't even briefly mentioned during the keynote, like new support for hiking routes in Apple Maps and what training load insights look like on watchOS 11. Of all the unmentioned features I've come to discover, here are my favorites. I've always been a Google Maps girl, in part because that app had superior information compared to Apple Maps in its early years. These days, I stick to Google Maps because it has all my saved places and history. When I found out that iOS 18 would bring updates to Apple Maps, particularly to do with hiking and routes, I was intrigued. Basically, in iOS 18, when you go into Search in Maps, you'll see a new option under Find Nearby called Hikes. It'll show you recommended hikes, and you can filter by the type of hike loop, for example, and specify a length. You'll find options in the vicinity, and tapping into one will show you a topographical view with the elevation details, how challenging it should be, as well as estimated duration. You can tap to save each route and store it for offline reference later and add notes too. There's a new library view, and you'll find it in your profile in Maps. You'll also be able to create new routes in Maps by tapping anywhere to start defining your route. You can keep tapping to add waypoints, which will cause the trail to continue to connect them. Then hit a close loop button to finish your trail. These routes can be shared, though it's not yet clear if you can share it to, say, your friend or driver to have them take your preferred path to your destination. The hikes that Apple will serve up in Maps are created by its own team, which is working with us national parks, so they'll only be available for the 63 national parks in the country to begin with. In other words, it's not porting information from AllTrails, for example. In April's release, Apple said thousands of hikes will be available to browse at launch.